Alright, I am back with a Diablo 4 beta video. It occurs to me that the beta is, I'm pretty sure, ending in like an hour, and I do not have any recorded footage of it, because I've just been playing nonstop and continuing to make Destiny videos, and I will probably do something as a larger tribute to Lance Reddick later, but I've been writing about him and his tragic passing over the weekend. And before the beta ends here, I wanted to dive into the game. I'm recording this live, and now it occurs to me that maybe there's a queue time. No, we're good. Okay. So, obviously, queue times and things were not great, like very much not great for the beginning of this. And they got a little better, I would say, by day 2, but I didn't have too many problems after that. It was mainly just that first day where you would play for like 20 or 30 minutes and then get kicked out for like an hour or 2 hours. And if the game launches like that, that's definitely going to be a problem, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I am just going to run a dungeon really quick here. We'll see what happens, and then talk about my thoughts about the game. They are generally very positive. I did write a like bad things about Diablo article earlier that got some traction because people want to read about bad things, but I also wrote how much I liked it, other than the technical problems before that. And it is easy to see how addicting this game is going to be. I've said many times that I think Diablo 4 has almost looked too good to be true. Like, Blizzard is in a kind of constant state of turmoil where I don't even understand how they're putting this game out in like a coherent fashion. They lost a ton of people who were like bad people or not punishing bad people from their big, controversies about the mistreatment of women, including the game director of this entire game, and yet it is still coming out in June, and things appear to be, on track to make this a very, very good, very popular release. I hate these freaking bone guys and their shields. They have so much health. And by all accounts, everything I had seen from this game looked fantastic. And I'm like, there's got to be a catch. There's got to be something wrong here. This can't be as good as it looks. Generally speaking, the complaints I have are relatively minor, and like the core here is very solid. This looks and feels and especially plays like a really fantastic Diablo game. And I've been very surprised by how engaged I was with the story. Like, you only get kind of this base intro to it, but like the first few cutscenes are just ridiculously dark, and Lilith seems like a truly terrifying enemy here. Oh, we got our first little mini boss. I'm gonna use my ultimate on him. And like I really like the characterization of Lilith. I have never thought Diablo's story has really been one of its strong suits. It's okay, and like if you dive deep into the lore, there's definitely interesting stuff in there. But generally speaking, like that's not really the strong point. It's like there's this, there's Diablo, he's this big demon monster, and he's, unleashing the hordes of hell and blah blah blah. And like even story moments that they like tried to make land, like, Deckard Cain's death in Diablo 3 have never really hit that hard, but like even just in the first 2 cutscenes here, I'm like, okay, they have figured something out here, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. They have also, as you can see, really tried to do this like dark Diablo 2-ish tone, which I'd say is good, and like the graphics are certainly amazing. Like the detail in these levels is incredible. There are some really gross areas where it's just all blood and guts and stuff, which is fantastic. I will say sometimes it's a little much, and like it can kind of just be a bit drab and dull in terms of everything being as dark and broody as it is. Oh, I took that down pretty quick. And so I'm a little, it doesn't always work, but I would say for the most part, I've been very impressed with the visuals, very impressed with the mood and characterization of these zones, including, both the outdoor and indoor spaces. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Slay Agradim and collect the tower key. Okay. I don't know if dungeons are fully randomized, but they have a lot of very similar objectives, which is somewhat concerning, and I've repeated a lot of the same bosses a bunch of times. So they feel a little bit like greater rifts, which is not quite what I was expecting. But in terms of the gameplay, so I am doing a rogue. A rogue is essentially a combination of the old rogue from the good old days of the early Diablos, and then the demon hunter. You can run it as like a dagger-based thing, as a trap-based thing. I guess it's also kind of the assassin from D2. It's a combination of a lot of different classes here. I'm doing a mostly bow version, but with a bunch of traps also. As you as you can see, I don't even have a fourth skill unlocked here. You only get 25 points, so I kind of just loaded my points into these existing skills here. I'll just pause here real quick so you can see my build. This is what I farmed up to so far. Max in the beta is 25. I have some legendaries. I have a good amount at this point. I don't have every slot as a legendary like some people, but I've, in my post-25 farming, legendaries do drop at a decent clip, so I've amassed a fair few of those. As you can see, my build is mostly around, so I drop Caltrops, I drop a Poison Trap, and then my ultimate is this giant trap that apparently just missed that enemy. But it's a... Here, come get me. Come into my giant Shadow Trap. Come on. Come on. There we go. Shadow Trap. So the point is like you make them vulnerable, you slow them down, you daze them, and then you shoot them with your arrow. So I have this piercing arrow, which is my main kind of mana spending attack skill. The split it does is a result. Nope, I don't have that key. All right, I gotta go find whoever has that key. The split it does is a result of this bow I got, which I should probably put a gem in. But so when a penetrating gut damages an enemy, 2 additional arrows split off to either side, dealing 80% of its base damage. So that's been a really good legendary. Some of the other legendaries are a little bit dull and a little bit samey. I know that's been an early concern among some people, myself included, but it is always very hard to judge like ARPG loot in the first few levels. Like I think at this point everyone knows like the end game is where things get really crazy here, so it might be a little soon to judge where things are going here. These guys have so much health. Okay. And this is the guy I need to kill. He's the Guardian of the Gates. He has this ice wind wall or whatever it is. And they have changed from health globes to a potion system. Oh, that slows down my arrows. Where you have a limited number of potions, but enemies will drop potions pretty much every time you kill them. It's a little redundant. I'd say I don't know if it's better than health globes. Like I think they're just trying to go back to Diablo 2 for Diablo's sake. Like I don't know if it's necessarily accomplishing that much. And like you kind of get in weird situations sometimes where you have to heal and then pick up another potion because otherwise you're full on potions. Like even if you just have a tiny bit of injury. So it's a little weird. You'll notice I'm not even picking up yellows at this point. I'm kind of only looking for legendaries, but this ends in an hour and all progress is being wiped. Well, actually, that's not true. So it'll say through the next beta weekend, the open beta, but it will be wiped before the end of the game outside of... there's like a couple cosmetics and titles you can earn, but all of your loot is gone. So there's no real point like putting crazy amounts of time into this other than the fact that it's fun, which is why I'm still playing. And that indicates to me I am going to be spending a lot of time maxing all classes, playing this an inordinate amount of time. And I've very much liked essentially everything I've seen here with, a few nitpicks so far. One thing that's a little weird is this skill tree system where I'm totally okay with the return to skill points and like putting skill points into things, and then you have gear that over levels things. So I have a 6 out of 5 in my penetrating shot. I'm okay with that. The problem is like if you want to respec, so let's say I get a legendary where it's like, okay, now your puncture is upgraded. I can't just swap this over. Like you can't refund points because these are all connected. So you can refund, but it's only going to like if I refund this, then I can go and modify stuff here. If I refund all that, I can go modify stuff here. And to get all the way back here, I'd have to just refund all. And like the cost, it's fine. It doesn't cost that much. And like I don't know if this will be a serious resource sink. It's just kind of a weirdly annoying way to do it. And I know in original Diablo 2 you couldn't respec at all. Essentially, you just have to remake your entire character, which was deeply annoying. It's just kind of a weird decision, I think. What am I missing here? Activate. Is there another lever? Oh, there's another lever. Okay, 2 levers. So that part's a little weird, but the skills and stuff I've seen, the ability for gear to overlevel your stuff, that is very Diablo 2, and I'm a fan of that. But I was also a fan of, the Diablo 3 system of just kind of nodes that you can change whenever you want. I didn't really think there was anything wrong with that system, and given how ridiculously popular Diablo 3 became, I think most people got used to that system. And I will say some of this just feels like change for change's sake, or like going back to Diablo 2 so you can say you went back to Diablo 2. I do think a lot of the criticism, what is this shrine? I don't even know what the shrine is. I think it's a speed shrine. And then like auto dodging, I think. I think a lot of the criticism of Diablo 2 being like too colorful and like, not hardcore enough was not really warranted, especially once they started changing things as time went on. So I do sense some amount of like overcompensation here a little bit in terms of like going back to Diablo 2. And then if I had, I said this in my critiques article, but like if there's one thing I could say here, it's that this maybe feels like it's playing things a little safe. Where are my legendaries? No legendaries. This is BS. It seems like it's taken a lot of elements from Lost Ark, which is the Korean Diablo MMO that Amazon recently ported over here. There's like, you get points for exploring the level, and like you have renown in each zone and things like that, and like public events with other people that come and help you. And those parts, that's actually pretty good. I have no real complaints about that, other than my world boss instance where I had essentially no chance because I was at the mercy of anyone who showed up, and everyone was underleveled, probably myself included. But besides that, it does... Oh, there we go. Okay. What do we got? Whenever penetrating shot... Oh, perfect. Good already. Wait a minute. Okay. So here... Yeah, so this is the new thing with, like, affixes. So you can have the same affix drop on multiple legendary things just in like a modified way. So I think maybe because I already had this, it's only 33%. So I have one that generates energy, one that has a chance to make enemies vulnerable. Considering I have so many traps, I'm going to try this because like I assume... No, okay, does it cancel it? Okay, you can't have the same legendary perk on. So this one is better because it's 80% and this is 33%. I'm not sure if that's a range or if it's just less because it's a ring and my other thing is a bow, but like that's kind of weird. I don't know if I love that. I didn't even know that was possible. So we'll see how that plays out. I know there's something called unique gear, which is different than legendary gear, that kind of has set affixes that cannot jump across gear. But that's, yeah, that was a little surprising. I didn't think it really worked like that. If you could stack those, so if it could have been like, the splits do 113% because it combines them, that would have been kind of interesting. But that is not how it works, apparently. But as you can see, like, I'm only level 25. I don't have max legendary gear, but like, this build is very fun. Like, I'm already having a lot of fun with the way this build works, and I can see the potential. Like, this is my first respec. I used to have a rapid hit build where... Instead of a penetrating shot, you have like a really rapid fire shot that was really great for boss DPS. I started with a, it's a shrine. Uh-oh. What does this mean? Oh, this gives you like bonus arrows and stuff. I started with one that was like a multi-shot thing, so that would ricochet around enemies. And so like I've respec'd a few times here to find something that feels best, and I based it on what legendaries I dropped. So I got this bow, and I'm like, all right, I better respec in a penetrating shot. And just, we're already starting off in better territory than launch Diablo, because it took me 70 hours to get my first legendary in launch Diablo, and I just have to assume that, this is not, the legendary drop rates here are not just because it's a beta. Like, I assume that they're going to be better than launch era Diablo, because launch era Diablo, they were terrible. It took me 70 hours to get a legendary, and it wasn't even for my class, and I will never forget that. Based on how just absolutely poorly that launched. Nope, no ice. Ice is still the worst modifier. It's terrifying. In terms of difficulty, so I am playing on, I guess, what the hardest difficulty is they have available in the beta, which is still not very hard. It's a little hard to judge because, Diablo is so prone to these, elaborate different difficulty levels. It's pretty easy. The only times I really died is there was something called a fortress, which I say that as I'm going to go fight the boss and probably die. But There's something called a fortress where you had to do a bunch of like objectives out in the open world, and that had a really tough boss attached to it. And that was pretty tough, definitely pretty tough. And I died a few times there, and then of course I died during my world boss attempt like a million times because that thing is like designed to one-shot you unless you have its like attack patterns memorized, which I certainly do not. Oh, I gotta put my ultimate trap down, which I certainly do not. And so I died a lot there. These dungeon bosses, I think I maybe died on one early on, but now that I have something, you know, approaching an actual build, if I'm paying attention here, I probably shouldn't die. You can see these little tick marks. Once you get them past the red arrows, that's when they will spawn health potions. So it's kind of a game of managing your health potions as you fight here, and it's kind of similar to how it worked before. That's not like too different from, you know, bosses spawning health orbs previously. This isn't my best boss target damage build, so like if I really wanted to, I could go respec everything into my rapid fire build, but like I don't care that much. It's just going to take a little longer, and I don't imagine I'm going to have too much of a problem here, but we will see. So they're always poisoned. My build makes them vulnerable a good amount of the time because they're always stuck in my traps. The one problem with this build so far is mana shortage. The penetrating shot uses a ton of mana, so that's been a little bit tough to manage, and I don't have a ton of mana generating skills right now. I have like one based on that ring where if I do normal shots it generates energy, but besides that, yeah, it's a little tough. But this guy is ultimately not really going to prove to be a problem, I don't think. You can build up stagger damage on bosses. I'm not precisely sure how that works, but I assume I keep forgetting I have my ultimate up, which does a lot of damage. There's a Rain of Fire ultimate that I was using before, which is calling down a bunch of arrows, which, you know, demon hunters will be familiar with. That was cool. That does a lot of damage too. It's even higher AoE, but since I've kind of gone hard into traps here, that's where I've ended up with. Yeah, I don't even want to play this too much because, like, I know I'm going to get addicted to it. The point of these dungeons are you're supposed to unlock these codexes of power. These are, like, perks that I think these are essentially legendary affixes, so you can insert them into your gear through some sort of vendor, and that's how you enhance a lot of your gear for greater customization. I'm not sure if these are literal. Like, okay, so this energizing aspect, damaging an elite enemy with a basic skill generates 5 energy. That is something I have on my ring, except this one generates 7 energy. So there does seem to be some amount of overlap there, which I'm not 100% sure I understand. And I don't know about all the sharing of legendary affixes. That seems a little weird. So that was a dungeon. It's very fun to play. Like, wasn't terribly challenging, but again, I'm not on like a crazy high difficulty level. I'm not at endgame build. Really weird thing. So if I town portal here, I'd go back to town, but the leave dungeon thing is hidden away in the emote menu under E. No idea why that decision was made. I feel like a portal should just open up automatically. Very, very odd decision if you ask me. I see a cellar over there. Maybe I'll just go over there as I keep talking here. But out in the world, mob density's not great, I would say. It's better in the dungeons. It's better in the kind of... I don't even know if I can get over there, honestly. It wouldn't let me walk up this path. Or wait, maybe it will. I don't know. It makes you turn around if you go too far out of like the beta zones, so let's see. But mob density's, yeah, it's okay. It seems like I keep getting this challenge Swift Slayer where I've killed 8 enemies in like 3 seconds or something, but like there's never really more than 8 enemies to kill because that's like how big mob size is usually. I don't really know how I feel about all the inclusion of MMO aspects here. I just don't know if they add that much to the game. Like, I guess a competent world boss fight could be somewhat interesting, but this just seems like it really leaned hard into MMO stuff when, like, the majority of the time I'm just going to be running this game solo. That is all, like, I really care about doing, is running solo, and then, you know, occasionally you will, if you're doing your bail runs or something, you need to, you see that hitch? The technical problems here are not great. Oh, okay, so you can go in this area. They need to fix a lot of the technical issues here, not just crashes, but, like, it does not run amazing on PC. Certainly far from it. So we'll see what optimizations come. Uh, but it is very clear to me that this is going to be a massive hit. I don't know if it'll beat Hogwarts Legacy, but this should easily be one of the best-selling games of the year. If my biggest concern is that maybe they're playing it a little safe, feels a little, samey to 2 and 3, sometimes to its detriment. That's not like the worst complaint you can make about a hugely successful franchise, and you can kind of understand why they wouldn't want to change a whole bunch of stuff and just kind of keep with the essentials here. So, I love what, this always does this. It says like dungeon or thing complete, and then you just get totally ambushed. Very, very clever Diablo. After like the 4th or 5th time that happens, you're like, okay, I understand what's happening here. But I ultimately, even if I have my nitpicks, like it is very clear to me that this game is going to do very well and that they have gotten a lot right here. I think that I'm really going to have a trouble balancing this and Destiny at the same time. I think it is going to be a significant challenge because this is essentially, even if it's not like a full live game, it will have seasons. I know it's going to have like a cosmetic battle pass that you have to do stuff with. I think it is going to be like Lost Ark with like timed events. We know there's like timed world boss spawns and things like that. So this is going to require probably even more time than past games. And I sunk thousands of hours into past games. So, and also I'm a father and my gaming time is not quite exactly what it used to be. So I'm really going to have to make some choices here about what gets played and what doesn't get played in any given circumstance. So maybe that's less Destiny grinding than I would be doing otherwise, or maybe I'm not maxing every Diablo character. Who am I kidding? I'm definitely maxing every Diablo character. That is absolutely happening. So yeah, we'll see. It is really hard to judge too much by, an early beta, and yet this is a pretty beefy beta. There is a lot of stuff in here, and I think you get access to legendaries, you get access to half the levels for a character essentially, and a ton of skill points and builds and stuff you can already make. And like I saw people that were going like truly nuts and soloing the world boss, and like that is the fact that is possible in a beta is pretty significant and interesting. So I definitely come back for the open beta. By the time I finish recording this, I'm sure this beta will be over, since I think it ends at noon today, unless they extend it because of all the technical problems on Friday, which I don't think we've gotten any indication they will do that. Oh, another player. Yeah, you will not see other people very often. They just are not around that much. Unless it's like a big public event or something, you won't see them very often. Anyway, it is pretty easy to recommend this, pretty easy to see that this is going to do extremely well. Whatever nitpicks I have are pretty minor. Like, I would say they're pretty minor in the grand scheme of things, even if I can come up with a pretty lengthy list, like UI not looking as good as it could, like respecing being mildly annoying, like it's not that big of a deal. So I don't see any like huge red flags or something here that makes me think that this is going, they've totally fumbled anything here. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling now. But thank you for watching, and I will see you next week for the open beta. I will probably do another character then, just to get a little bit more experience, even though everything's being wiped. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.